3 months ago, my dog Sami started limping for no reason. He actually started doing it after one of his crazy zoomy sessions around the house. So I thought it was just a sprain or a pulled muscle. But it didn't go away. And after multiple vet visits, x-rays, anti-inflammatory meds, and we even did a CT scan, we still had no answers. It's been a roller coaster of emotions, and finally last week we got a real diagnosis. So in this video, I'm gonna share with you what we went through, what we learned, and what we're doing next to help Sami feel better. I shared parts of our journey on Instagram, and I got a lot of messages from people who are going through this exact thing with their dogs, with, limping for no apparent reason, no idea what's causing it. And I'm hoping that me sharing our experience here is gonna help with that. Okay, so let's start with the beginning. It was 3 months ago, and Sami did a crazy round of zoomies around the house one evening, as he does sometimes. And then the next morning I noticed that he was walking funny. And he was kind of not exactly limping, but walking like really weird. And sometimes he would hold his front left paw up. So it was clear that there was a problem with his left front paw. I thought it was a pulled muscle or a sprain, and that it would just go away with a little bit of rest. And I think I waited 2 or 3 days before I took him to the vet. It was obviously not getting better. We went to the vet, we did a checkup. The vet gave him some anti-inflammatory meds that he was supposed to take for 10 days, I think, and put him on rest. Fast forward 10 days after that, we go back to the vet. It hadn't improved in any way. He was still walking funny, still limping. And the vet recommended that we see an orthopedist. So we book a checkup with an orthopedist. He looks at Sami, he checks him up. Nothing seemed wrong. He ordered some x-rays on all of his paws. And the x-rays didn't show anything, like any broken bones, anything like that, any fractures. So everything seemed fine. He checked on his elbow, he checked on his shoulder. Sami didn't show any signs of pain when he was touching him and, maneuvering his left paw. And just nothing seemed wrong. So he gave us more anti-inflammatory meds to take for another, 2 weeks or something like that, and keep him on rest in the meantime and see how it goes. So we did that, I think, 2 more times in these past 3 months. We kept going back to the orthopedist. He kept checking on him, giving him some anti-inflammatories. In all this time, Sami was just on really short walks, like 10-15 minute walks 3 times a day. And he was just super bored. He usually goes to a dog school once a week, and he spends the day there to socialize with the dogs and play. And I stopped taking him, because he was supposed to rest. And I was afraid that if I take him, that the limp is gonna get even worse. So he spent these past 3 months just cooped in the house with nothing interesting to do except for treats. Just in and out of anti-inflammatory meds, in between vet visits. At some point, we did a CT scan that the vet recommended, just to check if there's anything that the x-rays don't show. So we did the CT scan. We had to put him under anesthesia for that, which, it's always something that I'm worried about. And the CT scan showed nothing, once again. Nothing was fractured, nothing was broken. Everything seemed fine. But Sami was just, what happened? Do you hear something outside? Yeah? Another dog? He's on neighborhood patrol. He always needs to know what's going on. So what I noticed was that whenever Sami would wake up from a nap or in the morning, you know, he would limp really badly. So it was just, his body wasn't warmed up and he would just really limp. But during the day when he was all, you know, active, his limp would kind of go away and he just walked a little bit funny. And then whenever we went on walks, he walked completely normal, like nothing was wrong. And he has this thing where, you know, when he's outside, he senses a lot of dangers. So he puts on his best face. He holds his tail really high up. He has a perfect posture and walks really well, even though at home he would limp. So I mentioned all these things to the vet, and honestly, we really didn't know what it could be. At some point, our vet suggested that we schedule an appointment with this other orthopedist who lives in a different part of the country, who's a really good doctor. And Sami already saw him a few years ago. He's the doctor who diagnosed his back hernia. And I have a video all about that. So if you want to watch it, I'm gonna put the link up here and below in the description. So I decided to book a checkup with this doctor, and it took a while until we could get an appointment. So we had the appointment last week. He basically asked all these questions. I told him everything that I shared with you. He did a very thorough hands-on exam on Sami. Like, he stretched his paws every way and twisted his wrist and moved his joints and fingers and watched carefully for his reaction. And Sami didn't seem to have pain, but there were some times when he seemed to have discomfort. And the doctor spent like maybe 20 minutes doing these things and just watching Sami's reactions. And then he asked if he could do a new x-ray, this time on the actual hand. So on the wrist and the fingers and everything. So he took Sami to do the x-ray. He did x-rays on both the front paws actually. And when he came back, he had a diagnosis. So there were two things that he found when looking at the x-ray. And one of them was a sesamoid. And I have no idea if you know what this is. I just learned about this. So a sesamoid is basically a tiny bone that grows inside the tendon. And it's quite painful. So he found this sesamoid on his pinky finger on the left paw, and it seemed to be a little bit fractured. So that was one thing that he found that probably caused all the limping. And the second thing that he found was that Sami has arthritis in his left paw. So just on his left paw, the right one is fine. So yeah, arthritis. I was just completely, I thought about arthritis. I knew about it. It seemed like it could be, but honestly, I didn't want to believe it because he's only 6 years old. And I thought that this is just something that senior dogs develop, right? Like at least 10 years old or something. But no, turns out that even young dogs can have arthritis. So the vet said that actually even a 6-month-old puppy can have arthritis. So it's not necessarily age related. So that would explain the limping, and it would explain why we didn't see anything on the other x-rays or on the CT scans. Because no one looked so closely at his fingers. So yeah, I am still processing all of this. It's all very new to me. But what comes next right now is we put Sami on anti-inflammatories for another 12 days to help with his pain. We are going to go to another checkup after that to see how he is. And then there are some things that we can do next and that we're going to do next. What the doctor said was that we have to keep him active. So he needs to have to get enough exercise to help with his mobility, because apparently with arthritis, if you don't get enough exercise, you kind of, you get stiff, you lose mobility. That's one thing that he said, but he also said that don't over exercise him, because then that could lead to pain. So I'm not yet sure what the line is and how exactly, what exactly means to make sure he gets enough exercise, but not too much. I asked if I can still let him run around and do zoomies, and he was hesitant, but he said every now and then let him run, because he has a lot of pent-up energy, and it's really hard, to keep him static for such a long amount of time. So I guess I'm just gonna have to see how he does, maybe let him run a little bit and then stop him when he gets too excited. I know that a lot of you watching have probably dealt with arthritis at some point, or maybe you're dealing with it now with your dog. So I would really appreciate any thoughts you have, any suggestions, advice, any tips. Just please leave them below in the comments. It would help a lot. And then there are some other things that I'm looking into that help with arthritis. Things like acupuncture, kinetotherapy, physical therapy of any kind. Hydrotherapy is, the thing where the dog walks on the treadmill underwater. This is something that I've been wanting to try for a while now because of Sami's back hernia problems. So this, I think, is the right time to look into that and to start doing it, because I know that it's going to help him feel better. So yeah, these are pretty much, this is where I am so far. This is what I've learned so far about what we can do next to manage this. Yeah, I just hate the idea that he's in any kind of pain, that's the worst thing. But I don't want to think too much about that, and I don't want this video to be a sad one. I'm trying to keep a positive mindset and just focus on whatever I can do to help Sami have the best possible life. And this is what we're gonna be doing. Yeah. Despite everything, Sami is still his goofy, happy self. He plays a lot. He has his best friend Fluffy visit him every now and then, and they play. And he's just overall in a really good mood. He doesn't seem to be in pain, he's a Westie, and Westies are usually pretty good at just masking their pain and have a lot of energy. But yeah, he's doing really well. He's enjoying life just as much as he did before. This is just something that happened, and we're gonna have to manage it and hope that despite this, he's gonna be able to have a long, healthy life, because that's the ideal. And that's it. If you've been watching this far, thank you so much. I hope that you found this video helpful in some way, and I hope that it didn't bring you down too much. Yeah, it's gonna be okay. Sami is gonna be just fine, and I'm gonna keep you posted with our future vet visits and everything else that I learn. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in our next video. Bye!